Hi, welcome to Vidya Vikasam, your guide to personal growth and career success. Explore knowledge and opportunities designed to empower you. Subscribe now to begin your journey of learning and transformation. Together, let's achieve Vidya Vikasam. Welcome to episode 27 of the Interview Mastery series. In our previous episode, we discussed how to answer the question, why should we hire you? But behavioral interviews takes us one step further. You may be asked, tell me about a time when you faced a difficult situation, or tell me about a time when you solved a problem, or describe a situation where you had a conflict with someone. These questions are not asking you to give hypothetical answers. They are asking you to demonstrate what you have actually done. And that is where the STAR method becomes extremely useful. In this episode, I will show you how to use STAR to turn your real experiences into structured, credible, and compelling interview answers. Behavioral questions are designed to understand how you have handled real situations in the past. The interviewer isn't simply interested in what you think you would do. They want to understand what you actually did. How did you respond? What decisions did you make? How did you handle other people? And most importantly, what happened as a result? Your past experience becomes evidence of your capabilities. To structure your answer, use the STAR method. S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R stands for result. Think of STAR as a simple journey. First, explain what happened. Then, explain your responsibility. Next, explain what you actually did. And finally, explain what happened because of your actions. Remember, STAR is a framework, not a script. Your answer should sound natural and conversational. Let's begin with situation. Your objective here is simply to establish the context. Tell the interviewer what was happening, what the challenge was, and why it mattered. But be careful not to spend too much time here. A common mistake is to give a long history of the organization, the project, or the situation. The interviewer needs enough context to understand the challenge. Then move quickly to your role in solving it. The next step is task. Here you explain your responsibility. What were you expected to accomplish? What role did you personally play? This is important because the interviewer needs to understand your level of responsibility within the situation. The task establishes ownership and creates the bridge between the problem and your response. Now we come to action, and this is usually the most important part of the answer. What did you actually do? Don't simply describe what your team did. Explain your contribution. What did you analyze? What decisions did you make? How did you communicate? How did you solve the problem? How did you lead or influence others? This is where the interviewer gets to see your capability in action. So use I when describing your contribution. The final component is result. What happened because of your actions? What changed? What did you achieve? Whenever possible, quantify the result. Perhaps you reduced turnaround time, improved productivity, increased customer satisfaction, or completed a project ahead of schedule. But don't invent numbers simply to make your answer sound impressive. A genuine result, whether quantitative or qualitative, is much more credible. Let's now put the four elements together. The situation establishes the challenge, the task explains the responsibility, the action demonstrates what the candidate actually did, and the result shows the outcome. Notice something important. The candidate never has to say, I am an excellent leader. The example demonstrates leadership. That's the power of a well structured behavioral answer. This brings us to one of the most important principles of behavioral interviews: evidence beats adjectives. Almost every candidate can say, I am hardworking, I am a good communicator, or I am a strong leader. Those are claims. A behavioral example is evidence. So instead of telling the interviewer what qualities you possess, give them a real situation that demonstrates those qualities. Don't just tell them how good you are, show them. There are several common star mistakes that candidates should avoid. First, don't give a hypothetical answer when you have a relevant real experience. Second, don't spend too much time describing the background. Third, make your individual contribution clear. Fourth, don't use vague statements such as I handled the situation professionally. Explain what you actually did. And finally, don't memorize your answers word for word. Prepare your experiences, but allow yourself to speak naturally. So, how should you prepare? Don't try to memorize answers to every behavioral question you might be asked. Instead, build a star story bank. Prepare 6 to 8 strong experiences from your academic, professional, internship, project, or leadership journey. Make sure those experiences cover different competencies. Then, when an interviewer asks a question, select the experience that best demonstrates the competency they are assessing. This makes you prepared without making you sound rehearsed. For experienced candidates, particularly those interviewing for managerial or leadership positions, we can take star one step further. Add L for learning. What did the experience teach you? What would you do differently today? How did the experience change your approach? That final reflection can demonstrate self awareness, maturity, and continuous improvement. So, when appropriate, think of your answer as star plus learning. Here is a useful way to practice. Take one of your star stories and try explaining it in approximately 60 to 90 seconds. Then ask yourself, did I provide enough context? Did I make my responsibility clear? Did I spend enough time explaining my actions? Did I explain the results? And did I avoid unnecessary details? The objective is not to speak quickly. The objective is to communicate clearly and concisely. As a final thought, remember that STAR method is not about memorizing a formula. Your experiences are your evidence. STAR simply helps you present that evidence in a way that is clear, structured, and relevant. Prepare your stories, understand your contribution, demonstrate the result, and when appropriate, reflect on what you learned. That is what makes your answer credible. So, remember, don't prepare answers, prepare evidence. When you are asked a behavioral interview question, think about the real experience that best demonstrates your capability. Structure it using situation, task, action, and result. And when appropriate, add what you learned. The strongest interview answers don't merely describe what you know, they demonstrate what you have actually done. This is Dr. V.K. Sushil Kumar, career mentor and placement expert. Thank you for watching Interview Mastery Series episode 27. If you found this episode useful, share it with a student, job seeker, or professional preparing for interviews. And most importantly, prepare with purpose, answer with confidence, and create your future. See you in the next episode. And in our next episode, we are going to tackle some of the questions candidates often fear the most. Tell me about a time when you failed. What is your greatest weakness? Tell me about a mistake you made. How should you answer these questions without damaging your credibility? In episode 28, we will explore how to turn difficult questions about failure, weaknesses, and mistakes into opportunities to demonstrate self awareness, accountability, and growth. Until then, be prepared, be structured, be impactful.